From small towns to city streets, Mississippi is more than just a place. It's a collection of stories, experiences, and people who carry it with them every day. This is Growing Up in the SIP. I'm Carl Wilson. In each episode, we will explore what it really means to grow up, live, and build a life in Mississippi. Today's conversation is a little bit more personal. I'm joined by Patricia Evans from Camden, Mississippi, someone I grew up with. Coming from the same small town, we share a lot of the similar experiences, and today we're reflecting on what it really means to grow up in a place like Camden. So to start off, can you describe Camden, Mississippi for us, Patricia, for someone who's never been there?
Camden is like a rural small town. We don't have any stores. It's a small gas station, but there's no gas there. It's pretty much like not a one-way in, one-way out type of situation, but once you get there, I'm pretty sure you'll know where you made it to.
Right. But you may get lost on the way. We do want to point that out. So, what was your childhood like growing up in Camden?
Growing up in Camden was like quiet. You don't really have many other things to do besides the schools that are in the area. Of course, going there in that area, you go through all those schools because those are the closest schools we had to us. I would say it's kind of just, if you're used to the city, Camden would be the complete opposite. It's quiet, it's rural, all your houses are spaced out. You really don't get that experience in many rural places anymore compared to where we grew up.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go to scratch and say people that's not from Mississippi would think Camden is the average city in Mississippi, which is kind of true, but we're not going to talk about that. So, what was like a typical day like for you growing up in Mississippi? Like, what was it like?
I say it's kind of different once you get older compared to as a kid. Because as a kid, you don't really get the grown experiences most people would consider that you do get. As a kid, of course, we had like our small parks we could go to. But on an occasional day, a drive from Camden to the next city to even get groceries is almost a 15 to 30 minute drive. Again, the only thing out there really is the elementary, middle schools, and high schools that we went to. If you really didn't know where the area was, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't know where you're going or how to get there. It was just a rural city, pretty much. It's the best way that I could explain it.
And of course, we did grow up together, so we have favorite memories together. So, but what is some of your favorite memories from growing up?
I think I'm gonna go high school route with the Academy Multimedia. Us both being in Academy Multimedia, we done came up with some fun memories between literally probably going to sleep or being president and vice president of TSA. Mm-hmm. I'll say we really did grew up and work together from literally kindergarten till senior year.
I would say to now, actually. We have known each other for a long time. So what was there like a specific moment during while you was growing up in Camden that stands out to you and it's just different from everything else?
Stand out. It's kind of a tricky one because, like, since we don't have much, it's kind of like, what could you consider to be our thing? I'll say growing up in a rural town, being able to experience like the what is it called? Like when we would do the things at the park. I don't know exactly what they're considered, but like our festivals and things like that, carnivals that we would have. Festival, yeah. Like I liked the community things only because since we're so far away from our main cities, it was hard always trying to get our community to do things together. So when our community did come together to promote those small events, I enjoyed those.
I liked the bonfires and trail rides as well. that was a key moment I like growing up in the country as well.
And homecoming.
Yes, definitely. Homecoming is a big deal. Definitely a big deal. So what are some things people don't understand about small town life? Because I remember when people would talk about country people, they were like, "Ooh, y'all from the country." And now you have everybody wants to be country. So how do you feel about it?
I feel like to understand growing up in the country, you literally have to grow up in the country. Compared to a city life now of living in Hattiesburg, it's more quiet. I say that's the biggest takeaway, the biggest, benefit of living in the country. It's quiet. You don't really have to deal with the motions of all the city people or all the construction and things like that, other than a bridge here and there that they work on for like 6 months at a time. But other than that, like the takeaway of the peace and quiet that you get from the country is always the best part to me.
I mean, hey, we are on the up and coming. We do have a new gas station on the way, so that's a new thing. So I know the answer to this question, but other people may not know the answer to this question. But do you feel like everyone really knew everyone?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not related to somebody else's family, you know that family through somebody that you know. Or your parents know who they know.
And I just want our listeners to know, when we was in high school, or all the way throughout school, you most likely was kin to
somebody in your class.
Right, at least 50% of that school. Like, you were like, oh, that's my cousin. Oh, that's my cousin too.
You at least got one cousin in the whole building.
Literally. So you didn't have nobody that you weren't related to. Mm-hmm. So, of course, growing up in Mississippi can be very challenging, but we also like to grow out of it as well, right?
Yes.
So were there any challenges that came with growing up in Camden?
Not being given like all the opportunities that our other schools in our district were. Since the other school in our district were on the bigger levels, they were allowed more opportunities, more because of their community and their PTA gave to them more compared to ours. So like growing up in Camden, we had to fight for the things that we wanted more compared to those in the other school district or even in the same school district as us.
Yeah, there were most of the times that we were very limited in resources. Now,
yes. Especially with classes.
Yeah, we don't want to sound
ungrateful
because we did have more than some, but it still wasn't enough from where we actually grew up at. Yeah. So, do you ever feel like you just wanted something different? I know I do, but did you ever feel like that?
Of course, especially going into senior year of high school. The high school that we graduated from, everybody knew of that high school. We all knew what came with that high school. Of course, when we got there, things changed a bit compared to what we knew of that high school growing up. So entering that, it made us want to go somewhere else. It made us feel as if we needed a change because we've always been in this same area, in this same predicament. So, of course, it was always a moment in my head where I wanted to do something different.
So now that we are both now in Hattiesburg, I love Hattiesburg actually, so shout out to y'all. But what was it like leaving Camden and then coming here to USM in Hattiesburg? It was like there's a big adjustment for you, or was it just like, hey, it's just another city?
Well, my adjustment's a little different from yours because I went from Camden to Poplarville, then Hattiesburg.
That's true, definitely.
So going from Camden to Poplarville, pretty much the same thing because in Poplarville there's nothing but Pearl River and the gas station and like the community areas. So that wasn't a big change for me, but I would say going from Camden to Hattiesburg is really just like a city limits change because Hattiesburg also has their country rural areas also, which I pretty much see those the same, but I'll say going from there to here, we have more options and closer options rather than having to spend 30 minutes to go up the road to get something. We go 5, 10, including traffic up the road.
Now, I would say the biggest adjustment for me would have to be the traffic on Hardy Street. Yeah. Like, I'm used to, of course, we're from Madison County, so we're used to being able to go from Canton, Madison, Ridgeland, to Jackson within a span of 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So this is really, like, new to me, and it's kind of building my road rage. But I hopefully it'll get better. But did anything about college life surprise you compared to growing up in Camden?
Not necessarily. I think that's because like I've always had the thought of wanting to go to college anyway since I was in middle school. I've always known if you go to college, your college classes are going to be bigger than what you're used to. To us, they don't really seem any different because my college classes are pretty much no more than 20.
Right. I love that actually about you. I love that about USM actually.
So going from a rural school where our classes sizes were pretty much the same, 20 to like maybe 30 max, it wasn't really much of a difference when it came to class size. I will say the walking aspect, the parking aspect, it is a little rough, but it isn't much different from what I'm used to.
One thing that really surprised me about coming to USM from Camden was the fact that there are so many students here that can actually relate to the experiences that we had. And I was like, they was like, oh yeah, I went to a 1A, 2A school. And I was like, really? I did too. And it was like, yeah, we only had 40, 50 children graduate in our class. And I was like, same. And I was just like, I didn't realize so many people had this, like we just have some of the same experiences, which is kind of really interesting to think about. Mm-hmm. So how do you think growing up in Camden shaped who you are today? How did it shape Patricia Evans?
I think it made me a reserved person. Not because like we grew up in this country area where, again, everybody knew everybody, but more so growing up there, you have to fight for where you want to be. Like I said, compared to the other schools in our district, those schools were, I won't say given what they had, but they had more opportunities because their parents gave into their school more. They had more opportunities because their administration would care for the student body more as a whole compared to just a certain student or a collective of students. Being from where we are, you're always going to see the same people. So you're having to compete from the spot that you want. If we weren't grown up in Camden, I don't feel like I would have the drive or the perseverance that I have now to get where I want to be in life without that.
I wholeheartedly agree. When you think about Camden now, what does it mean to you?
Quiet. I wouldn't say home because, like, it's always going to be my home in a way, but anytime I think of quiet, anytime I think of Camden, I just think of quiet and rural because literally there's nothing in Camden but our high school and a convenience store.
I'm glad you said it because now I have like a whole different level of appreciation of nature. Like, yes. I actually, like, when I was in Camden, you could not get me to go outside. I was like, outside? I'm not going outside. But now I'm like, now I just wish I could go outside and breathe fresh air and go sit by our body of water. Now, you can't do that in Hattiesburg, but
it won't be as quiet.
Right, and then the air is not as fresh. Mm-hmm. Like, when I came down here, I got sick a lot. But I have gotten adjusted to the environment. So, my last question for you. If someone asks you, what does it mean to grow up in Mississippi? What would you tell them?
I would say, growing up in Mississippi, you got to fight for what you want. Coming from one of the poorest states out of the 50, I won't say we don't get the opportunities that other states get, but our state, we come at a lower fault of that. I would say also growing up in Mississippi is kind of quick to get around. Like in Mississippi, you have back roads and other highways to take other than just the interstate compared to if you go somewhere like Atlanta, Georgia, or Houston, Texas, or even Washington, D.C., to get around, you automatically have to take the interstate to get here and there. And those drives turn from 20 to 40 minutes compared to taking a back road in Mississippi. That can be a 10, 15-minute drive. I say growing up in Mississippi, it kind of shows you going from city to city and showing that each city isn't the same. It kind of prepares you for that outside life and also the life outside of the state.
Thank you for listening to Growing Up in SIP. I'm Carl Wilson. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and share it with someone who has their own Mississippi story to tell. Until next time, remember every story has a place, and every place has a story.